Hi, I'm Paul Gregg from Personal CEO. I'm going to provide you with the Senior Academics 5-Step Guide to Personal Finance. The aim of this is to bring process, investigation and rigour to your personal happiness and success.
So in January 1962, John F. Kennedy said, "The time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining." The question is, does the idea of sorting out and managing your personal finances, is there any dread in there? Have you got the basics under control, like setting goals, saving, managing investments, or is there a to-do list that you never find to do? So senior academics, usually immersed in the growth and success of a university. And I'm sure that you set goals, design academic curricula, create strategy, plan for the financial success of the university. But few of you actually bring the same processes, investigation and rigour to your personal financial choices. And there's a lot of key mistakes that I see when it comes to managing your own financial planning. So, often disjointed financial management, managing superannuation, financial and legal affairs yourself in a sort of reactionary manner, complacency about cash flow, international income or pensions that are not properly accounted for. You could have worked all around the world, under prioritising your insurance, and few, if any, income generating assets. So what I'd like you to do is just ask yourself a question. And the question is your financial house in order? So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And 1's being a total basket case, and 10 is being a model for the rest of the world to follow. And in rating yourself, think about these sort of things. Do you have multiple international banking and pension accounts sitting dormant? Are your investments, your cash flow, your insurance, estate and tax planning, is that all in place? Are all of these aspects integrated and working together for you? And can you achieve your goals despite unexpected market or economic changes? And do you have a will, power of attorney, and is all that in place? So now give yourself that score from 1 to 10. Now, if you gave yourself a 9 or above, then really you can stop listening now. But if you answered below 8 or below 5, like 98% of the new clients I've met in the past 5 years, then keep listening to this. So step 1, you want to define what's important to you. So you really need to understand what you want to achieve in life. So you're watching this because you're a successful academic. And almost certainly you set goals and strategy in your university. So it's time to bring that rigour home and create a set of personal and financial goals based on what's important to you and your family. You want to understand what you want to achieve in life, define some tangible goals, and determine the financial and time costs required to achieve them. And what we see is that creating these personal financial goals can be very motivating. So here's an example of how you might do the first part. So defining what's important to you. And this is from another example. So this person said, on the left-hand side, well, at the lowest level, so if we use it as a Maslow's hierarchy type, financial security, and then moving up the chain, up the steps, set up the family for the future, and then at the highest level, having lived life to the fullest. So that's defining what's important to you. Then your goals, okay? Your goals may be an extended family holiday, debt-free, financial independence. So what I want you to do is just try some goals, write them down, make sure you've got a title for each one so that you can really lock onto it and get a vision of what it might feel like to achieve. Make sure you set time frames to achieve each of the goals to keep you motivated, and move it from a nice to have idea into reality. And here's an example of a goal. So I want financial independence. So that would be the ability to choose or to work or not work by the 23rd of September 2025. See, we're exact here. And at that stage, I would like $500,000 annual income from all sources. So what that means is that might be some uni super, could be some overseas pensions, could be investment property, could be other investments outside, could be a whole range of different income streams. but what you need is 500,000. Okay, step 2. Let's create a financial strategy and implement it with military precision. So you need to understand what the option for achieving success is. And there's many ways to achieve your goals. And at your university, you would carefully consider each option for achieving success. So in the same way, I want you to model different strategies for achieving personal goals. And the key is to work out which scenario achieves the goals you created in step 1 with the least amount of risk. So consider the following. How will you structure your income, your uni super, your overseas pensions and investments outside super to the best effect? And how will you accumulate the funds until the goal date? How will you distribute the funds to cash flow each goal? And if it's a long-term goal, what are the most important underlying investments? Then we need to define all the aspects. So create a blueprint for each goal that clearly defines all the aspects. Then calendar every single item that you need to put in place to achieve success for each goal. Put a number on everything. Work out exactly how much money needs to be accumulated at the goal date. And for example, you might need, say, 4.2 million in income generating assets to fund your financial independence to life expectancy plus 5 years. So you really need to map it all out, model it out. Step 3, manage the risks. So you want to understand anything that could destroy or severely mess up your plan. So list every risk in one column. That's everything that you can think of, no matter how big or small, and then write down the mitigation for each risk in another column next to each risk. So you've got 2 columns, left-hand side, all the risks, right-hand side, all the mitigations. And you may need to include other goal items into your financial plan to achieve part of each mitigation. So there's obvious risks, such as developing a long-term illness, death, and permanent disability, but widen your view and include anything that can go wrong. And it may be that a risk to the plan is that you may need to make a significant financial gift to a family member in the future. So a sinking fund to deal with this risk without impacting your other goals is one way to mitigate that risk. You then add the sinking fund to your goals and then go through step 2 to create a plan to achieve it. Insurance. So really is a key. And it'll be the key mitigation strategy for many of your risks. And this is often managed through general or personal insurance. So general insurance includes everything from professional indemnity and business continuity to home, boat insurance, all of those things that are more of a general nature. Personal risk insurance is a specific area you should pay attention to. You can either self-insure or have an insurance company insure you. So if you're going to get an insurance company to do it, often this is through life insurance, income protection, or other relevant insurances. If you're going to self-insure, that means you've built up enough of a nest egg that if something was to go wrong, you would just use your own money to cover that. So you want to review your insurance, especially if it's offered through UniSuper. So we often find clients who are drastically underinsured because they've only nominated the default amount. So UniSuper, you can have as much insurance as you like within reason and pending underwriting. But if you just go with the default, that's what you'll get, the default amount. And that's obviously not going to be tailored towards your personal circumstances. Okay, step 4. You're going to track your progress. So you've got to make course corrections. So tracking your progress and making course corrections is something that should happen on a 4-monthly basis. So no plan, when you put it in place, is going to just sit there and roll out over the next 20 to 30 years. Things are going to change. Things are not always going to go to plan. So the best way to do this is by putting together a set of reports that can easily show you exactly how you're tracking. So let's use this as an example. So over on the left-hand side, you've got 1.65 million, and then there was another 650,000 added. So there's your inception value. And then over on the right-hand side, we've got the current value, 3.35 million. So there was 3.1 million is your current accounts, what everything's worth now, plus there was 250,000 in withdrawals. So you can see exactly what you had started with, what you added, then what the current amounts were, and then how much you withdrew. So you can see exactly from inception to where you are now. Okay, so you need to devise reports. So devise a report that shows you where you are at any point in time, where you need to be in the future. Then devise a report that shows your growth assets and debt balances every 4 months and how they track over time. Devise a report that shows you how you are tracking historically and the trend towards the final goals. Are you on track or off track? If you determine that you're off track on any goal, make course corrections to get yourself back on the right trajectory. Step 5, you need to review the entire plan annually. So have you got any new goals? Life never sits still. Circumstances and priorities are changing all the time, and your plan needs to be reviewed and recut at the very least on an annual basis. Do you have any new goals? Have any of your previously defined goals changed? So you need to start at step 1 again and work right through each step. Some things may not change, but some will be drastically different. So when you're reviewing each detail, how are individual investments tracking? Are they aligned to your risk profile and underlying asset allocation? Is the level of insurance cover still appropriate? What does your tax projection look like? What are the capital gains tax implications of, say, selling an investment property or other investments? Is your debt product still appropriate? Are your cash levels appropriate? Is your super funds configured correctly? Does your estate plan still reflect your wishes? Do you have suitable powers of attorney, or if something was to go wrong temporarily or otherwise? And you also, and this is a big one, check that your credit rating hasn't been compromised through identity theft, something that we're seeing on the increase these days. You might ask the question, are you serious? This seems like a massive undertaking each year, but there's absolutely no value in creating a set and forget plan that quickly gets out of date and becomes useless. The underlying detail needs continuous review because things can constantly change. So you do this at work, so why don't you do it at home? Remember, the aim is to get your entire financial house in perfect order and give yourself a 10 level of confidence that no matter what happens in the market, the economy, or the world, you'll achieve your goals. And this can only be achieved by following a defined process that's constantly reviewed. Look, the next step. You can get further detail on what I've said in this presentation. If you go to our website, there's a couple of videos there, but there's a report. The 5-step report gives the absolute detail on this presentation. The other thing is you can get in contact with us, because if you really want to give yourself a 10 out of 10, we can help you do that. Anyway, it's up to you, but I'd encourage you, go to our website, download the report and have a look at that.